Hi, this is Gail Sokol, and on today's show, we're going to be talking about plating your desserts.
Welcome to Baking Radio. Learn the art and science of baking with author, educator, and award-winning chef, Gail Sokol. Whether you've been baking your whole life or you're brand new to the world of baking and you're looking to build your confidence and learn new skills in the kitchen, you're in the right place. This is Baking Radio.
On today's show, we're going to be talking about how to plate your desserts. So you don't have to be an artist to make a dessert look spectacular, but desserts that are glorious to look at usually taste better. Whether it's a brownie or a piece of cake or a scoop of ice cream or a custard, even fruit can be a spectacular dessert. These foods are wonderful, but on their own, they're not very exciting, I have to admit. So I like to dress up the plate, really, as if the plate was my canvas and I was an artist. So I'm going to give you a few simple ways to make your dessert look like $1,000,000, and it really can raise the stock of your cake tremendously. First thing, let's start with the simplest. Place the dessert onto a plate, and the first thing you want to do is make sure your plate isn't too messy looking. It doesn't have stripes and polka dots all over it. It should be a relatively solid colored plate. If it has a rim of something, that's pretty. A few flowers on it, fine. But you're highlighting the food. That's why most plates in my house are solid or have very little accoutrements around them. Not too busy with a pattern. You know what I mean. So you want to highlight the food in it. You want to highlight the dessert, not the plate. So the first thing I might do is dust it with powdered sugar. Very small, almost a nothing way to plate your dessert. But if the dessert is plated nicely, in the center of the plate, off center, your main dessert, your cake, or whatever you're serving, you want to take a small sieve. And sometimes there's even sugar dusters that you can buy where there's a little sieve with almost like a cup with a handle, and you put the confectioner sugar or the powdered sugar inside or cocoa powder, and then you just screw on a top and dust away. I like to use a little tiny sieve and place maybe a tablespoon of confectioner sugar in it, put it on a plate so it's not flying everywhere, and lightly dust whatever you're plating. Or you can even use unsweetened cocoa powder, like I said. Sometimes I like to do 1/2 of the plate cocoa powder, 1/2 of the plate I dust with confectioner sugar. And it can have this sort of, yin and yang look, this half and half look, and it's really pretty. For something a little different, you can get a paper doily, or you can make your own stencils and lay them over the plate, even first before your dessert goes on. So you could have a stencil of a spoon, for example, or a little fork. And I've done this. And then you put it on the plate, dust so that the fork is only out of confectioner sugar, lift the stencil off, and then plate your dessert. And it looks like you have a little fork next to it, but it's really sugar. So that can be very pretty too. Very simple, but very, very elegant. You can even do stripes. You can do strips of wax paper and just lay them side by side with a little bit of a space in between them and make stripes on your plate as well. And you can do this with cocoa powder in one direction, confectioner sugar on the other. Very cool. Another thing that I love to do is use whipped cream to your advantage. I like to push it through a pastry bag and through a star tip. I have one large star tip that I probably use exclusively. You can find those online. They're very easy to find. Or you can just use your spoon. Just take a big tablespoon and dollop some whipped cream on your dessert. And that really does elevate it. People love the dessert, but when they see the whipped cream with it, it gives it a nice little something extra. Now, the next thing you can do is sauces. So sauces are a lot of fun. I could do an entire show on sauces. I love plating sauces, all different types, all different colors, and viscosities. The thickness of the sauce can elevate a dessert as well. The most important thing if you're using multiple sauces is to use the sauces that have the same thickness or viscosity. Or if you have a runny sauce and a very thick sauce, you may have that runny sauce separating. And I've had that happen, and you really don't want to you don't want to have that. So you don't want to have a lot of bleeding on your plate, and it will spoil the look that you're going for. So the first sauce we'll discuss is chocolate sauce. Now, it doesn't have to be a ganache. We've had previous shows on ganache, which is just simmered heavy cream that's either simmered or brought to a boil. You take it off the heat and you add chocolate, some bittersweet chocolate. You could add white chocolate, milk chocolate, whatever you want, and you whisk it until the chocolate is melted. And it creates this beautiful sauce. You could put it directly over your dessert, or you can drizzle it over your cake or ice cream with a spoon or even a squirt bottle. That's also fun. So a ganache doesn't have to be the only type of chocolate sauce you use. You can also make chocolate sauces with unsweetened cocoa powder and water and milk and sugar. So those can also be done as well. So chocolate sauce adds a dark note to maybe a chocolate dessert or a fruit dessert. It's always nice to have a little additional flavoring. My next sauce that I love to use is a vanilla custard sauce, also known as a crème anglaise or a French custard sauce. And if you remember, I did a show on custards without a starch. And the recipe highlighted was a crème anglaise, or this French custard sauce. This sauce can be used as it is to garnish a plate, or if you froze it, it would make an amazing vanilla ice cream. So to decorate a plate, I love to take about 1 to 2 tablespoons of vanilla custard sauce, or you could do it with the chocolate as well. But I'm going to start on this plate with the vanilla custard sauce. Put it into the center of the plate, so no dessert is on the plate yet. It's an empty, clean plate. And roll the plate around like you're driving a car, and that's the steering wheel, so that the sauce will get evenly distributed and spread out evenly. You just don't want it on the edging of the plate. Keep it in the center. Then you want to drop some tiny drops of ganache. So maybe half a teaspoon and spread them out a little bit. Maybe do in quarters all around the plate, or in sixths all around the plate, and just do 6 drops. And then take a toothpick or a small wooden skewer and gently drag it in the same direction through the chocolate drops, and you will see them look like little hearts. It's a very easy trick to do, and you can do it with any color combination you want. You could do a raspberry sauce with a vanilla custard sauce. Unfortunately, a chocolate sauce and a raspberry sauce would not be a good pairing because you would never see the raspberry sauce because the chocolate sauce would take over. Or you can take the chocolate sauce and place it into a squirt bottle, and after spreading some of the vanilla custard sauce around the bottom of the plate, make a circle, like draw a line, a circle around with that squirt bottle to outline the vanilla circle that you have with the chocolate sauce. And then with a skewer at the chocolate, where the chocolate meets the vanilla, make little circles all around that chocolate circle, and you'll be making a pattern of gorgeous swirls. And then you can take your dessert, whatever it is, a brownie, a piece of cake, a scoop of ice cream, and put it right in the center. It can be gorgeous. You can get oohs and ahs over this. A simple raspberry sauce. Okay, very simple. Buy a bag of frozen raspberries and puree them in the food processor. That's the first thing I do. Thaw them and puree them. And maybe add a little honey or sugar, depending on how sweet they are. Taste it. And then force the entire sauce through a sieve and get rid of those seeds. And you have this gorgeous ruby red sauce. And you can thicken it if you want to with a slurry of cornstarch and water. And you would put this in a saucepan with the cornstarch and water, bring it to a boil. And as you add your cornstarch and it comes to a boil, it will thicken. So painting the plate like an artist with lines of sauces or circles or small drawings even, you will need a squirt bottle. So invest in maybe 1 or 2. You can also use them to squirt mustard or ketchup on a hot dog or 2 in the summertime, but they're really a lot of fun to use. They come in tiny bottles or bigger bottles. And I know people say, well, you can put a sauce in a Ziploc bag and it will work, but it won't work as well as an actual squirt bottle. So definitely use one of those. So you can actually do lovely different things. I love to write my guests' names on the plate. So you don't put anything on the plate. Let's say you have a white dessert plate, and instead of the dessert plate, use a dinner plate. So I go big with dessert. And I'm not saying that the dessert has to cover the whole plate, but I like a large dinner plate to actually, present my dessert. So that I like a large canvas. And then what I like to do is paint their name. So draw their name in chocolate sauce. Just make sure it's very viscous or it's going to bleed together and you won't see their name. You can even do it on top of another contrasting sauce if you'd like. You can even put a tiny little spoonfuls of raspberry sauce all around a clean, dry plate with no sauce under it and just leave it like that. Just like a little dollops of sauce all the way around and put your dessert in the center. You can put your dessert to the side and put a spoonful of sauce and just smear with the back of your spoon. Just smear that sauce straight. And you'll have just like a little smear of sauce. It looks so pretty. And then you can even take maybe a lime or a lemon and zest it over that dessert. Maybe it's a lemon cake or a lime tart. And that would look absolutely stunning. So the last idea that I have for you, and there are many, but this is the last that I'd like to discuss today, is to Jackson Pollock the plate, okay? If you have nothing else to do and you're all out of ideas, that painter, he would be smoking a cigarette, he was dressed in jeans, and he'd have a canvas, and he would throw paint at the canvas and then go and sell his paintings for millions of dollars, in my dreams, right? Well, if you take all your sauces, keep them separate. You can put them in a cup, you can put them in a squirt bottle, whatever you want to do, and just use a fork and just fork your sauces over the plate in zigzag directions, all different colors. Maybe you have a raspberry, a vanilla sauce, you have a chocolate sauce, maybe you have a milk chocolate and a dark chocolate, and just zigzag them all any which way, and then put your dessert down. It will look like unbelievable. It will look unbelievable. I actually had a brownie, a full-size brownie that I did not know what to do with. I baked it in a round circular cake pan to be a little different. I was going to someone's house for dinner and they said, bring a dessert. And, as a pastry chef, you can't just go with a brownie. So that was sort of like blah. So I took all different chocolates. I took white, dark, and milk, melted them all separately, and then just forked them over Jackson Pollock style. And they were like, oh my gosh, this is the most incredible thing. What is it? And I said, it's a delicious multi-chocolated brownie cake. I was just BSing because it just looked so plain to me, but they thought it looked amazing. So it really can work. So on another show, we're gonna talk about how to add texture to your plated dessert. But if you've enjoyed this episode today, hit the subscribe button. And if you'd like to leave a review, I would greatly appreciate it. If you haven't picked up a copy of my most recent book, Baking with Success, it's available on Amazon and in bookshops worldwide. So if you have any questions, head on over to bakingradio.com and leave me a message. I would love to answer some of your questions on air. And on the next show, we're going to learn how to add texture and crunch to a plated dessert.